I'm here, y'all. I'm here. I hope y'all are here. You ever have those days where you just be like, wait, I got to do this? Who's in the room? Who's in the building? Make sure you like and share. Of course, we have our guests in the building. Sometimes you got to get lost in the music. Sometimes you got to get lost in the feeling, in the flavor. You know? One of my guests, Miss LaDonna, need to make sure she has the email to get into the show. Y'all gonna like this. It's gonna be nice and sweet, and we're gonna really explore. I gotta get lost. Lately, I've been getting lost in music. Just come and go with me for one moment as I make sure that we got everybody that's gonna be on the show. It's kind of spontaneous, but I think it's gonna be beautiful. Hopefully you didn't eat more of those brownies. I'm good with eating my brownies, bro. You're the one that got the problem with the brownies. But you gotta admit, sitting in the backyard, a little confused. I was good. I mean, they just had extra butter in them. You know what I mean? It was a placebo. Miss LaDonna, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get it together. We're gonna get our lives together this evening. Malachi's gonna get his life together. He's surrounded by women. Ron Hudson is one of my close friends. He's almost my best friend. Woo! We let that music play through one more time. Good evening. Welcome this Thursday to Unlocking Your Potential Beyond Belief. Anybody out there that really, truly want to unlock their full potential beyond belief, as Bishop would say, to question your beliefs and how do those beliefs add to or subtract to the quality of your life. I might be butchering it a little bit, but you get what I mean. Oh, here we go. Hold on, y'all. We're going to get it together. She said, we got one more person. We're trying to get on here live. And in the meantime, while I'm working on getting her on to the live, what we're going to do is we're going to jump right to it. We got a tried and true, one of my dearest people that she pushes me. I'll be pushing her to do it, and she be pushing me back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to welcome to the stage. Do we need music to get this going? What kind of music do you want for your intro? Do you want something fast-paced, or do you need something like mystical? You know what I mean? Like, do we need something like, you know? Welcome to the stage, Dr. Dorothy.
Y'all guys is crazy. What's going on, everybody? Hey, ECC family.
What's up?
What's up?
Let me
It's been a good minute.
I'm trying to get this link. It didn't work
Oh,
to Miss LaDonna. What's going on with you? Let's
you
stop
going
that
on?
music.
You
That
know,
music is creepy. We need to stop that music.
I said something upbeat. You went creepy on me.
Well, I thought it said
Hey,
lo-fi.
Steve.
It said lo-fi.
Lo-fi.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like.
Okay.
I need to get some
Okay.
new music programmed in there. Let's see.
Yeah.
We got this one. So I'm gonna bring Dr. Gigi to the stage here soon, but real quick, just give us a glimpse, a little bit about what's going on with you, right? And your classes and what's been, moving from deconstructing all sorts of different things, deconstructing the sacred um, canopy. We got the
Yes.
family, deconstructing
Yes.
your dog. Because the dogs need saved. No,
I can't,
no, I do
Malachi.
not have a brownie.
I ain't have no brownie. This is
I'm
just natural good joy.
it's just me, and I'm just in one of those moments right now where it's like, okay, I need to do this show, and I'm not trying to be orthodox right now.
No. Let's just let out hair now.
But you got all, we're not deconstructing the dog.
No. If the dog is saved and go to church, then yeah, he got to get deconstructed.
Bro.
I can't do this.
I'm a rule, y'all. I'm trying to
sorry, family. ECC family.
do some dogs praise dancing. I don't know. They're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats.
Joel, I don't know. I don't think them dogs can get saved. But there's a controversy. Do dogs have souls? Should we go there?
Woo!
Oh boy. This is good. I feel pretty good.
But
like I had a couple brownies.
Right. Hey, that's the thing about who you are, where you are, why you are. And Malachi, let's see. She said, hold on real quick. You're supposed to be entertaining the people. Why, I need to go back and I want you to talk a little bit about what you got going on so I can fix this.
Okay. All right. Well, Expanded Consciousness family. Most of you know who I am. I'm Dr. Dorothy, and I have been doing some seminars on expanded consciousness for members that are in the group. I've done a seminar on dismantling the sacred, meaning that all the things that we classify and consider to be sacred, but we don't touch, and it keeps us from deconstructing. So I just did a class on that. I did a class on deconstructing the religious family, which most people don't understand that the church and religion has actually taken over marriage. And so the family, the marriage is now sacred, and people are suffering under that covering. So I did dismantling the sacred. In October, we're going to be doing deconstructing and your health. That means how your physical, biological body is affected by deconstruction. So it's been very exciting. We've had a very nice turnout of ladies. I would love to see some of the gentlemen in the seminar because we know this is a collective process that we're all going through together. And so that's my story. I'm pretty excited to be on here tonight with everybody. Extremely excited. I hope y'all don't hear the country part in me because I do have.
I don't think you got any country, do you?
Yes, I got a lot of North Carolina.
Okay.
New Jersey.
Okay. I think it's hard to be black and not country. I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
It's definitely possible. We got a lot of black people that don't sound like they black. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm
Right.
just
Well,
gonna
and there is a thing with that. That's a whole nother conversation. I was
thank
talking
you,
to my
Joel.
wife about assimilation. Oh, yeah, we don't want to start talking about him and how you sound. Because he's got a nice little mixture. I almost got this together. It is really not that bad, guys. Like I'm working on myself and I'm working on this.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
I need
more excited about the guests that are coming on tonight. I don't feel like a guest. I feel like we're old schools.
thank goodness we have to keep it, And well, LaDonna's been on, but I think it's really beautiful sometime when we can
Yeah.
just, I got some beautiful guests that are lined up that are coming
Yeah.
on, but sometime I would like to
Yes.
just, this is just about us.
Right. Exactly. Just
And
connecting, sharing.
let's see, did that work? I think that did, man. That sent her the link quick. All right.
All right.
Woo! So the thing is, what I wanted to do this evening, and I'm gonna bring them up soon. Doesn't look like Miss LaDonna has her camera on just yet, but one of the things that I've been
Yeah.
personally going through and dealing, and not, I don't like to use the word dealing with. All of us, one, deal with transition, and
Right.
the
Right.
other thing is we all, as we go through this, one of the biggest things that I'm noticing is that we're dealing with relationships,
Yes.
relationship with spouse,
Yes.
relationship with family, relationship with friends. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest things as you go through even if we look at the deconstructing side, but then we look at moving away from our old ways of thinking, those
Yes.
family members and those people can do some really harmful and hurtful things. And
Yes.
and the thing is like everybody that I've paneled right now, I think have great insight. But the other thing is, I know everybody on this panel also, out of everybody that's on, so you were gonna have to bleep this, but y'all been through some shit.
Some serious shit, as they
You've
would
been
say.
through something,
A lot.
and I use that on purpose
Yes.
because of the fact that
Yes.
sometimes there's things that run deep and hard, and there's no other word that you can use to express what you have experienced or experiencing. And so we're gonna see if we can laugh. We're gonna see if we can make somebody cry. No, we don't want to make nobody cry. You might just naturally just feel good about yourself
Excited.
and
Right.
cry.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
everybody that's tapped into
Hey,
in,
Holly.
share it, share it, share it. And we got two more additional people. You've seen Miss LaDonna.
What's up, girl?
Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look here and see. Okay, it says edit mic, and it means your mic might not be on at the house.
It's on off on the
Oh, there
Okay.
it is.
All
okay.
right. Hey, my people.
I still can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, and I already been watching. Y'all off the chain tonight, but it's good. Y'all ready to get into some shiz naive. I see you.
You can't do this without God tonight.
Much gratitude.
Yes.
We're gonna cover
Hey,
some relationship stuff. I don't know if you understand anything about relationships and your spiritual walk and walking away from people. I don't know if you've been through anything like that or not.
Listen, I feel like you've been in the middle of some of the conversations that me and my sister Dorothy have already been having. I know all too well about the difficulty in
Yes.
relationships that can come when you're on this awareness, consciousness journey.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
mm.
I am aware.
Yes. Yes.
We have one more guest, which you guys haven't been introduced to, and I believe it's going to be beautiful. Her name is Dr. Gigi. And so I want you guys, because she's been through a few little things. They not and I was having conversations with her last night, and I was like, you know what? You coming on my show, and we're gonna give you some energy. We're gonna bring it because she's powerful. She knows what she's talking about, and I think she went to like a HBCU, finished her doctorate. I think it's like one called Howard or something like that.
Howard University. Come on
nice,
now.
Nice.
Right?
That's my neck of the woods out here.
That's your neck of the woods. So we have here Dr. Gigi.
What's going down, good people?
Hey.
It is good to be with you all. It is good to see your faces.
I love it. You know, we have been doing a little bit of dancing around the divine feminine, but I think when I think about divine feminine and masculinity, the thing is there's a thing that I feel within the divine feminine that does not negate the divine masculine, right? It doesn't negate it. There's something about the birth of life and the birth that has been given to the planet and the creation of life. And we get kind of, especially men, they can get kind of offended and be like, you're emasculating me and you're taking this from me. Right. And it's like, you just a beat. You're just a punk. I mean, seriously, you just like get over it. Like, you got a mama, don't you love her?
Right.
You know? Like,
yes.
You so, you know, you so worried about the women, but you still steadily trying to get back in them. You know what I'm saying?
He went there.
I'm really trying to take this serious tonight, man.
Listen.
We going raw tonight, right?
I mean, for real, that's the only way. Right now, it's just, but when it comes to relationships and when we're looking at expanding our resonant consciousness, and then we're looking at relationships, and you know, there are a lot of people that I know personally right now that are experiencing, whether it be personal relationships with spouses, especially these narcissistic, like what, what's her name? Vice President said, this
almost
right, experiencing that with different people in terms of how people are. But anyway, what I want to do first is anybody can take this question, but tell me about some of your feelings or experiences, especially, let's go with you, Miss LaDonna, in terms of, because you have experienced something in your relationship within same gender loving and being in the church, you know what I mean, deep into the church, and then how you even discovered just being with yourself, discovering who you are and how you want to live your life and who you find love with, right? And the whole design is to help somebody that decides to listen this evening. The floor is yours.
Well, this is the thing. It occurred to me, you know, after 20 years of preaching, right? In mainstream religion, in Christendom, I'm preaching, singing, you know, using all of my gifts based on who I was and who I came into this world to be. And I was going home, you know, to my female partner, you know, and I thought that it was unfair to me to have this happiness at home, and also understood very well that what people were experiencing from me in public and through my gifts were a sum of all the things that I was. So I thought it was unfair to demonstrate powerfully, all of my gifts in church, and then have to come home and be in secret. So I felt like, what, this is old to me and new to you all. Nevertheless, I'm going to have to come out of the proverbial closet and be my full self, because it's not as if the church was not benefiting from the vastness that I was. The fact that same gender loving people have to be broad in our thinking, very flexible in our approach to life. And I was convinced that people were benefiting from my gifts, but I was doing a disservice to myself. And I think so many people in Christendom today, they suffer because of their beliefs. There's so many people that are in the church operating and using their gifts, and then they're going home lonely. They're going home lonely, cannot express themselves, and they're singing about love and relationship with God. However, they have to minimize who they truly are, minimize and in public, for that matter, fully sort of extinguish who they are. So I felt it unfair to myself, and I said, you know what, this is the time. And I said, you know what, while we're here, I'm gonna come out the closet, talk about my sexuality, admit who I am. That way, when you all call me, it's not our little secret anymore. I'm not gonna hide who I am, and you don't get to put me on your program, in secret, without understanding and admitting who I am, and that I am still used by God.
Tell me
That's
one
my
thing
story.
real quick. Tell me one thing. Like, what did you do, or what have you done to help you in this process be clear and be your authentic self? Like, was there any practices, or what was some things that you can say that was like, these are some of the things I've done, or this is some of the things that helped me, if there's any?
Well, to be honest, like most of us, who use, social media, I just stopped hiding my life in its totality. Like, I talked about and I expressed my feelings to my partner. I was no longer, hiding my everyday interactions. I just put it all out there. And if I talk about her, I'm specific about her. I'm not saying, a person, I'm not using these generic terms. I'm being gender specific and letting everybody know that this is my lifestyle. And then like I began to say earlier, while I was at that, I think my sexuality really helped me move into consciousness, into my conscious life. We've talked about that before, because I really feel like I was like, well, while I'm at it, let me just tell y'all. And another thing, I'm tired of conforming.
Right.
I'm tired of faking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of the construct.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you start to question, well, if we say these scriptures that talk about, God is love, he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love.
Yeah.
And all I was experiencing
Mm-hmm.
through my partner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not experiencing, somebody cheating on me, getting somebody in the church pregnant. I wasn't experiencing none of that. Wasn't nobody going upside my head when I got home. I was in a loving relationship.
Mm.
That's
right.
powerful right there.
Come on, sis.
No.
You understand?
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
how is this wrong? But I've seen preachers, pastors send somebody down south because she was pregnant. Okay. I'm just saying, we talking relationships. We're talking about sexuality. We're talking about coming out. We're talking about being honest. We're talking about how much of a shame it is that people who lead people into praise and worship and, you know, this lifestyle that's supposed to be filled with love have to go home and hide who they are. That's my take.
Come on.
So I got a lot of experience on it.
We could go real. I don't want to go too deep with this because it's a whole nother topic.
Right? We can come up with like 3 or 4 different talk shows, but
Right. I don't want to go too deep.
Say that. Yes.
But just, I'm going to table it because that's a whole nother show, because me and Miss Dorothy was talking today, and it was about how the situation with Diddy and what he has done to harm or hurt the LGBTQIA community.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
How now the church, and specifically, and people in that space who are already doing whatever they doing behind closed doors, but how it's like people see that and they think this is what it is to be in that community.
Right.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with that community.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
That's right. Yep.
Nothing to do with it. But yet, though, being Black, and I think that was his biggest, just not fantasy, but the power was like to take somebody that is not feeling this lifestyle and to push them and force them in his lifestyle. What does that do? Because there's no gay person that I know personally that wants to find somebody and try to force them into a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm trying to force them into this. Like, no, that's not. Once again, they get people. To me, it can hurt us as a people, first of all. But then having that conversation to clear the air, to let people know, listen, just because we're expanding, just because we're deconstructing, just because we are leaving the churches, doesn't mean we all of a sudden are losing some level of morality. That's all y'all want to do, is just take all the celebrities and just be like, see, look, they demons, look, they're demonic, look. Right. And it's like, no. He's got childhood trauma, and then he got a bunch of money, and he's a narcissist.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then it magnifies because nobody really, like how William said, tell him no. You know what I mean? But it's hard when it comes to money. Anyways, that's looking at how we look at even our personal spouse relationships. Looking at just the spouse relationships. What about family or friends? Dr. Gigi, hit me up with some things of the feelings that, because you recently have been experiencing some things with friends and how they treat you based on how other people have treated you. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you have stood up to say no about some things. Like, no, I'm not going to tolerate. No, I'm not going to live with the system and go with the system. Right?
Yeah, boundaries are the enemy of predators. Boundaries are the enemy of predators. And the reality is we live in a system that is predatorial by nature. And so, especially in melanated bodies, we are literally unconsciously programmed for generations to not take up space. In other words, have no boundaries. We're programmed to not be able to say no. Right? If you talk about, if we're talking about our stunningly beautiful and sacred ancestral line, right? Our peoples who have been enslaved, who have been forced into boarding schools, who have been separated at the border, all the things, right? All the things. our bodies have internalized the message that saying no, having any kind of boundary for my well-being is risking my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment that we hold a boundary, we say no, we take a step back because we experience toxicity. In a predatorial system, you're not allowed to do that. And so the entire system surrounds you like our immune system surrounds an invader. Like our immune system surrounds a virus to purge it from the body. The predatorial system surrounds someone with a backbone, especially a melanated body with a backbone, to purge it from the system. And, you know, as we've been sitting here talking and I've been listening to the brilliance and the wisdom in this space, I've just been processing something. You know, relationships are the frequency of the cosmos.
Come on.
Relationships are the frequency of the cosmos. Just for a second, I want to put, we're talking about relationships with people, but I want to put that in the larger context, right? The cosmos is run by a frequency of relationships. Think about the solar system.
Yes.
All the planets exist in relationship to each other because they're in orbit around the same larger, very hot planet, which means they all exist and orbit in relationship with each other, right? You think about creation here on this planet. We don't exist without the oxygen that trees emit. That's relationship. We were earlier jamming to some semi-creepy music.
Totally creepy music.
Right. But you think about your favorite music that it stirs something in us, right? It's because of our relationship with the sound waves that are entering our ears and raising something in our spirits, right?
Yeah.
That's relationship.
Right.
Like relationships are the frequency of the cosmos. And that's just not relationships with each other. That's relationships with creator. That's relationships with creation. So let's just put this facet of relationship in the bigger context. So when you think about it, when you think about relationships in that regard, that relationships are the frequency of the entire cosmos, then betraying one another by policing who we can love, or betraying one another by policing what our faith has to look like and sound like.
Come on, Doctor. Yes.
Or betraying each other by leading a faith community while living a whole separate secret life. And refusing to allow a certain gender of people or a certain sexual orientation group of people, excluding them from leadership or even excluding them from belonging in the community. That's all a fundamental betrayal of the frequency of the cosmos. That's not just a betrayal of humanity. That's certainly not just a betrayal of one person. That's a betrayal of the cosmos, and therefore it is a betrayal of the very nature of the one who created the entire cosmos.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you really, now this is where I nerd out.
Profound.
This is where I nerd out, is neuroscience.
Go for it.
Neuroscience, I am so, like, on a daily basis, I am mind blown by neuroscience. One of the most profound things that we know from neuroscience, right, which is the study of the brain, is that we are literally pieced together. We are wired by our creator to be in relationship.
Yes.
And we know that for many reasons, but one reason is because when you talk about healing trauma, when you talk about neuroplasticity, which means you can literally rewire your brain from stress and survival into rest and repair and flourish.
Yes.
But you know how you do that? In relationships.
Mhm.
Come on.
But there's one caveat, though. There's
Come
one
on.
caveat. That only happens in relationships where you feel safe.
That's right.
You can be in relationships all day long. You can be in community all day long. But if you don't feel safe,
Mhm.
then the
Right.
opposite happens. The trauma deepens. But when you feel safe, the brain begins to rewire and that trauma begins to heal and get resolved.
Mhm.
We are fundamentally designed to be in relationship. And we know from Genesis 1 that we were designed in the image of God. God does not exist outside relationship. Hello, Trinity. God the parent, God the child, and God the spirit. God by very nature is relationship, period. So are we.
I love that.
So yes, if I don't remind myself of these larger truths, because I love so deeply, I can get sunk
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by the betrayal, especially of people I trusted and loved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I can't keep my nose above water with the bigger perspective, that ish will sink me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But listen, I'm gonna tell you something. This family right here, we ain't going nowhere.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
We're not going nowhere. Because if you get real ugly, we're gonna tell you.
But that's exactly what family is. That's exactly what beloved community is. And that's why this right here is a healing space for that reason.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We can show up with our strengths and glory and gifts, and we can show up in our mess and in our pain and in our wretchedness.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And either way, our love for each other doesn't change.
Mm.
That's
And
beloved community.
we won't hold just because you're Black and Brazilian. We won't hold it against you. You know?
At least not tonight.
At least not tonight. Not my first time on. Not my first time.
No. We got to break you in first.
Right? Like we know you woke up like that.
Oh, God.
Why is he this way? Why?
He's just
I
cutting
told
up
him when
tonight.
he said it now, he should be a comedian. He's funny.
You know what? You know what?
That might be your next
Funny.
calling, brother.
No, I don't think my wife thinks so.
I wonder if the dog thinks so.
Oh no, because she'll be in bed and that's when I'll do my comedy show. Full on comedy show. It should have never made weed legal in Oklahoma.
Why?
But you know what though? We were talking about our pets, right? Earlier. I don't know about y'all's dog, but I got a cat, and mine is saved and sanctified.
Listen,
and
all my dogs go to heaven.
No.
Look, all my dogs go to heaven.
No, cats are they already said that's a cult. Cats are like people that do that's like witch stuff. That's what Brian Church. We don't be doing on cats.
They are kind of divas. But they're the same divas.
You know, you use that a black cat. You know, that cat crossed the street. You know,
Yeah.
They
Absolutely.
put that on that cat. That's not that cat's fault.
Ain't
They
that
put
cat
that on
fault,
that cat.
boy.
They put that on the
Oh,
cat.
it's something else.
That is, Dr. Gigi, that was beautiful in the sense that, especially how you relate all things into me when we start looking at spirituality, but then when we start looking at the true expansion of consciousness and awareness, everything comes down to relationship, not just a relationship with the individual person.
That's right.
Right. And one of the biggest things that can not hurt, what would I say? One of the biggest things that can actually cause a lot of turbulence or interference is when we look at the natural state of being and creation and who we are, especially when it comes to the male species. And they're just like, you know, baby batter on the brain, inseminate.
You're nuts.
I'm serious. And they ain't connected to nothing, but their natural instinct, if you will, is to just be on the prowl, right? And then within the female complex, you get so used to that you feel like that's what you have to do in order to receive or to be connected to someone. So you end up in situations where you like, how did I end up in this situation? And part of it is you know what I mean? There's the man, I'm going for it. But the dogs, like I've always had various dogs and training my dogs, and female dogs would flag, right? Whenever they're doing flagging, and it's just a natural thing. And so moving ourselves into an expansion of our awareness, also expanding in our consciousness. Now we're getting into things like transmutation and being able to use the whether it would be Kundalini, if people talk about it, and moving that energy up, especially sexual energy and intimacy. I am a very intimate guy with all people. Like I can hug the hardest of the hardest dude. Like I'll give you a hug, but I can actually also hug women and hold true space, 100% true space for that, and hug longer than normal, right, of that person, as far as openness. But I think it takes time for us to get into that awareness and to get into that space. I'm still human, but at the same time, not to be so led when it comes to relationships.
That's good.
Thinking about just a man and a woman, thinking about your relationship with all your friends. Like you said, Dr. Gigi, everything, right, is relationship. And I think what's profound about all of this and what we hear within the expanded conscious family, to me, is that we are all still learning and open to have conversations. And the other thing is, I believe that we could actually, as we raise the vibration, God operates in frequency, raise the vibration, right? Even though you're feeling down and out and you pull in all these certain people to you, you raise that vibration, change their surroundings of people, and relationships and good relationships will start coming to you.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yes.
Right. You'll start. That's as a man too. As a man that's open, I'm very open with a lot of people, in the sense that as a married man, what happens to me though is being open, protecting, understanding my own self. But what happens is I think also it can help women in the sense of having a person or being around a male figure that doesn't have necessarily an agenda besides your healing, right? That's a process for some men to think, where it's like you're thinking about that individual person, especially coaching. You got to be thinking about that individual person and not necessarily, and thinking that, wait, it is a person. It's besides she's more than boobs and butts now.
Look here.
It is a person more than boobs and butts now. Dr. Dorothy?
Yes, sir.
I'm stopping. It's your turn. I'm stopping because you were born. I'm sorry, you were in the church and married to pastors or leaders. You know what I mean? So I guess you could just finish the show out with all that.
All of that.
That's a lot.
Y'all got my belly just got butterflies in it. I need to piggyback off of LaDonna and Dr. Gigi just for a second, because I think there's an explanation as to why we continue to experience so much trauma, abuse, and so much narcissism in relationships. Because relationships used to be about community, right? Communities came together, they had relationships, wives, husbands, children. It was about the whole community. It wasn't just about the man and the woman. So how do we get here? The church. The church made marriage and relationships sacred. Once it made it sacred, then it kept you from setting boundaries or even crossing boundaries, right? Because what does the church say a relationship is or marriage is? It's between a man and a woman, right? So the church has not allowed any type of expansion of consciousness when it comes to families, marriages, relationships. So we got society fighting to allow same gender loving people to be able to express themselves under the auspices of marriage, right? We got interracial couples wanting to express themselves under the auspices of marriage. But everything has to go through the church. The church not only marry us, they bury us. Not only that, but they Christian our children, right? So the church has literally taken over marriage. And this is one of the things that really kind of irks me, is that we have allowed religion to literally destroy what should be organic and natural. So if we find somebody that we love, LaDonna, we should be able to love them.
That's right.
If we find somebody that we want to be in a committed relationship with, we should have the freedom to do that without having to make this thing so sacred that we can't get out of it when it's killing us. Right? And so a lot of people are living under the laws and rules of the church when it comes to relationships. So marriage, how many times have you heard? Now, I was married to a pastor. I was an elder in the church. I was counseling marriages, doing a whole bit. But how many women have heard to stay in abusive marriages?
Right.
Stay in abusive marriages because
just pray about it.
Sanctify a wife, sanctify the husband, and blah, 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 right? And so you have more people, more relationships in the church being destroyed because it's too sacred to touch. But when you're deconstructing, if you don't touch that sacred thing, you are not going to be able to heal from it. So in church, in relationship, instead of us being governed by what is organically natural, like you were saying, Gigi, we're connected to the cosmos, to the universe. But if we live within the box of religion, then those relationships are going to be curtailed to fit under that sacred canopy of religion. And so we've got to get out of that thinking that our relationships are more sacred than we are. Right? Right?
Yeah.
As told to us by the church.
Exactly.
Okay.
And as we have adopted that reality, we pass it down to our families. And what happens in the family? If you bring somebody in the family that don't fit that sacred canopy of relationship, then even the family will begin to impress religious ideology on the relationships. So we're in this space where we are locked in under these vices, and they get us locked in because everything is so untouchable. No, let me tell you something. If somebody beating your ass,
right, it's time
you
to
need
go.
to leave them. If somebody cannot match your energy and you're in constant conflict with them, and you're living there because you feel like you're honoring God, no, you're not. You need to get out. If your children are in danger in these relationships, and y'all shut me up when I get started, because Donna, y'all know how I get, Malachi. But if the children, if there's danger, see, you said something earlier when you said, caring for yourself means protecting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that means protecting ourselves from everything, religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything that surrounds that keep us in these places of destruction where we can't expand ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We can't even wake up because we're under such a sedative of religion, the rules, the rituals, the laws.
Yeah.
The church has done a number on our psyche,
On
and
our psyche.
it's all done under the auspices of it being sacred.
Can I piggyback off of you on that?
Yeah.
What a disgrace it is, right? I don't know if you all remember this, if you've had the same experience, but when I was coming up, it was always about the church not following the world.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
here, especially lately, what
Mhm.
is it that the church, with its bigotry,
Mm-hmm.
sexism,
Yeah. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
prejudices,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
what with all of that can they teach the world? It's actually the world going first in example with
Mm.
inclusion
Yeah.
Yes.
as far as love is concerned. I feel right
Right.
now that it's a disgrace that the world is going before the church when it comes to love.
That's right. That's right.
But you know why? The reason it's happening is because religion is a institution of society.
There we
It
go.
is not. Yeah, it is. Religion is not something that is ordained by, quote, God. It was set up in society to control,
The
to give
masses.
people
Mhm.
morals, to give people values, right? To help
To
people
create
not kill one
norms,
another.
to
Yes,
create
norms.
norms. Uh-huh.
Yes.
And
So
standards.
yes, and standards. And so we often get this mix up of separating the church from society when society owns the church. The
Mhm.
church
Mhm.
cannot do anything outside of the law,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So if it's God ordained, why is it subject to the laws of the land?
Mhm.
If it's
Mm.
God ordained, why is it that pastors are being locked up because they're molesting children?
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
abusing people in the church, and pastors are sacred.
Marrying young parishioners
Mm.
Yes, the
out
pulpit
of
is sacred.
control.
The Bible
making
is
making
sacred.
women twerk. I don't,
Yes,
some of these videos that I see, and I don't know if they're
Mm.
in the
yes,
United States, but I don't think the US is that the church in the US is that far from it. They're not far
yeah,
removed. I'm seeing
yeah,
women twerking in front of the pastor, and
yes,
everything is said to be sacred or a devotion unto God through these
yes,
certain
yes,
acts. And it's like
yes,
people can't even use their brain. They've been so
Mm.
brainwashed
yes,
by what
right,
we've been
right,
told through religion as it relates to
yes,
our bodies. It's
yes.
just, it's
And
absurd.
then think about this. You can't even function outside of and you can't even function in society without religion permeating or penetrating even your secular activities. Do you understand what I'm saying? This thing, but what's happening is, and what I'm excited about, because we can go into a real dark place of how religion is destroying humanity, and
Right.
we look at it as if it's something that is helping us. It's
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
And we're moving into this age of Aquarius where the energy of society
Turn it
is
around.
being exposed. They're looking at the dark side. There's a
Mm-hmm.
collective dark shadow,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the individual, the macro and the micro. And
Mm-hmm.
so the sacred canopy is being dismantled. The church is not capable of continuing under the strain of being of pretending
Of pretending.
that God is over it. God is not over the church. The church is set up by men. The church is set up by society. The church is held up because we go in there, right? And we get caught up in it and we get sedated by the rituals and the practices. And the next thing you know, we're so addicted to going to church that even when we're deconstructing, we can't even find anything that replaces that high that we get.
Yeah. Can I just piggyback off
Who replaces the high that you get?
Replaces the high.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, you know, this whole thing about religion, right? When you really look at the life of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the life of Jesus, you see actually what a complete revolutionary he was.
Right.
When you let the scales fall from your eyes, the scales of empire controlled religion, right? You begin to see what a revolutionary he was. And when I say that, partly what I mean is that Jesus was very intentional and overt about dismantling hierarchy and about giving voice to the people groups that both society at large and religion, his own religion, was oppressing and was marginalizing. He was giving voice to them. That's why the people wanted to kill him.
Okay, David.
Exactly.
Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4, he was the victim of religion. Luke chapter 4, the very first time that Jesus gave a public sermon, as soon as he read from the scroll of Isaiah, the people had nothing but good things to say about him. Wait, who is this dude? Isn't this Joseph's son? Oh my gosh, they're all in awe of him, right? But the story didn't end there.
Right.
The moment he finished by highlighting two Gentiles and making them the hero, it flipped like that. And the people literally wanted to kill him. And that's why. Because Jesus made the scorned peoples the hero of the story, and they weren't trying to have that. That's the religion, right? But here's the other thing that kind of piggybacks off that is that what most of us today don't recognize is that the vast majority of I'm going to say this in a way that might sound strange to those who don't understand what I'm saying, but the vast majority of Christianities, plural, Christianities, plural, the vast majority of mainstream Christianities in the Western world, what we know to be them today, they were a faith and a practice of following Jesus that was very intentionally distorted and manufactured into a faith that would condone and justify enslaving fellow image bearers.
Right.
They had to create, they had to distort, they had to manufacture a system of beliefs and call it Jesus that didn't oppose how they were getting rich and powerful, which was slavery.
Right.
And so what we know today as mainstream Christianity and religion and the institution of the church, so much of that is actually the very distorted version that was created to condone slavery. There is a reason why our dear ancestor and brother Frederick Douglass called it the slaveholders' religion.
I know you're not going. You are not trying to go there, right, Dr. Gigi? You're not going to the decolonization process, right?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Thank you for naming it. That is what I call it. It is decolonizing, because decolonizing is about power structures. Who has the power? Who don't have the power? Why they don't have the power? And then what they do with the power, the ones that got it. So that's the history of the American and the Western quote unquote Christian church. And until we begin to decolonize and deconstruct and actually live into the expanding of the truth of who we really are, because we begin to discover the truth of who God actually is, the God whose nature is relationship, the God whose nature is equality in and unity in diversity. That's the Trinity. The Greek word is called perichoresis. It is unity and diverse. It is unity in diversity. That's all I'm trying to say. So
keep going. We see what happens when you go to an HBCU seminary. They be teaching y'all something else.
Yes.
I'm just saying these comments, Dawn.
But can I say something here on this? I want to piggyback off of Dr. Dorothy and Dr. Gigi. When we talk about the decolonization, we talk about, Brother Malachi, how you talked about the shadows of these narcissistic leaders.
Yeah.
And the powers that be, and these structures in religion. I think the glitch here is this. What's really interesting to me, as the sacred, Dr. Dorothy, starts to become dismantled, it's interesting to me that most of these people that become exposed based on their shadows.
I'm on. That's exactly
how they hold so tightly to religion.
Come on. See, yes.
Come on, Pastor.
But I'm gonna use this word. I think within my own self, I feel really strongly that it would behoove them. It would be in their best interest. Watch this. To start to lean into consciousness.
Come on.
Because based on the tradition of the church, when you talk about shadow work, it's demonic. It doesn't have a place. It's satanic. Just like our African spiritual rituals have been demonized as well. There's no place for shadow work. Where if you were to lean into awareness and consciousness, you could at least begin to dance with the shadow and transmute who you truly are into something much more powerful that the world can use. But everybody is hiding, saying, I'm not this, I'm not that. They rather keep it in the dark rather than bring it to the light and figure out how to use it.
Come on now.
Come on, Pastor.
Why can't you be conscious? And why would you hold on to Jesus? Just as, black folks hold on to Jesus like chitlins. And I'm just going to say that. I just had
white
to.
knuckling.
You understand what I'm saying? Let it go. As we see some people being dismantled in the public eye, some that should remain nameless, it only proves to me and magnifies one thing, that you ought to let your beliefs that you have, at least in the public eye, go. Because if you were to embrace the very thing that you say ain't God, which is consciousness and awareness, self-awareness, personal development, shadow work, you'd be okay. You'd be okay. Our great late Dr. Reverend Bishop Carlton Pearson himself.
Come on now.
Embraced many people.
Yes, he did.
Who needed a way to embrace themselves, and they had to do it in secret and couldn't do it in the public eye. But some of those people that we see being dismantled today could use a helping hand from our late great bishop, who they denounced in the public eye. And I'm done.
Yeah.
Why can't
So-
we lean in? Why wouldn't you lean into consciousness? I mean, over here we can at least. I mean, let's be real. What you want? 2 wives? You want 3? You know,
Because
long as we got an understanding.
See,
I'm
that's
just
what
saying.
that's what I'm talking about. The family being so
Can we be
sacred.
real?
Yeah.
Yes, we can be
But
real.
you doing things in secret,
Mhm.
right? But you denying the fact that you denying a space where you could actually be yourself
Right.
with
Absolutely.
work,
Mm-hmm.
with realization, with
Right.
awareness, without
Right.
dogma, without the oppression of another life.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Mm, yeah.
That's just my take on it, and I get really
Yeah.
passionate about that because I don't understand why people would rather lie about who they are than forsake a religion and then be able to embrace more of who they are with help and work and recognition and development, personal development.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it
Spiritual
when you talk.
wellness. Spiritual wellness.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I have a thought. I have a thought on that. I so appreciate the way that you brought life to that. I have a thought on that. Some of my healing work really is becoming over time more and more grounded in a particular field of science that is still emerging. It's called the science of belonging.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that social psychologists have discovered, and this is now science. I'm not talking about opinion. I'm not talking about speculation. This is actual science. The
Right.
same part of the brain that gets activated when we feel physical pain is the same part of the brain that gets activated when we are made to feel that we don't belong.
Mm-hmm.
What they also found in these studies is that when that part of the brain is activated because we're made to feel like we don't belong, the drive to alleviate the feeling of not belonging is equal to the drive to quench thirst.
Mm.
It is equal to the drive to find shelter when you have no place to live. In other words, another way to say that is the drive of human nature for belonging is life and death.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So making a choice that even if it's only subconscious awareness, making a choice that our subconscious tells us will not serve our survival means that unless we are doing the work that you just spoke about, Pastor LaDonna, then we are going to be driven by the human drive to survive, which means we're not going to forsake belonging, even if the belonging we've been given is based on a person that we're not.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So to make it real plain and simple, right? To make it real plain and simple, if someone is, as you just spoke of, Pastor, if someone is living on the down low, they know that if they were to take the down low into the public eye, the way you have so courageously done,
Yes.
if they're not doing their work, they know that they will lose belonging. And to the body, that feels like a choice toward death.
Woo.
Like literal death. So
Absolutely.
therefore,
Mhm.
I ain't choosing death. I'm choosing self-preservation. The brain
Right.
is wired to survive. So unless we are doing our own work, we're going to choose
To
survival.
survive.
So
Woo.
that right there is what all of us on this call have already named is one of the main ways that religion controls people. Because if there are boxes that you got to check in order to have belonging,
Woo.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like how people end up caught up in gangs because there is a sense of belonging, right?
Listen.
That is desperately look here. I'm generalizing. I know there are exceptions, but in general, the modern day Western quote unquote Christian church, it kind of resembles a gang. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm with you.
I'm just saying.
Tell me more.
It
I'm
is a
just saying.
game.
Yeah.
Oh
It
yeah,
is a
like
game.
like who you repping, like who you with, type of
And
game.
It
if
is
you
a
don't
game.
agree with us, we're gonna do whatever to you, right? And so what you just said too, that when we start talking about deconstructing and when we're talking about quote leaving the church, if you don't have a replacement, it's
Uh-oh.
going to actually do something to you.
Mhm.
And actually you can really begin to feel either physically sick
Yes.
or you can end up in the hospital. Anybody in the room,
Anybody in the room
you
know
can
what it's
end up
like. Sick.
going through something that's physical. Therefore, you choose not to go through that physical pain because of the people, but also because of your body and your cells.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's,
Mhm,
that's right.
So that's the whole point in us gathering together and building community.
mhm,
And when we start talking about baby and bathwater, it's not necessarily talking about just religion and Christianity and Jesus, because I've been getting into some Christian mysticism. I got a
mhm.
Christian mystic that's one of the top authors. October 31st, he's done from pagans to he's done it all. He's one of the top authors on Amazon, and he's connected to some of the most peculiar things, but this guy is super duper brilliant, and we're going to get into all the mysticisms within Christianity and some Judaism and as a whole, but ultimately is just being able to have it is significantly important outside of everything besides just deconstructing to understand the importance of community today after
Mhm.
COVID and after
Yep.
everything we've been through. There are friend groups right now developing outside of people understand the social media, but there are friend groups developing that says we want to come together and we want to all of us
Yeah.
together. My brother I went out with him and all his friends, and it was the most oddest thing but coolest thing ever. And you got 30 or 40 people that are on a group text, and they all will actually say, what are we going to be doing or where are we going? And I'm not talking about these as doctors and professors and like, in their, they're millennials. But yet though they coming together and saying, we're going to do something and we're going to be together, all races, and we're going to come over here. We're going to, and you know what else they're doing? They're supporting each other.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have a party over here. Okay, I'm going to come to your party.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm not necessarily a major drinker. And I'm glad he was just giving me some sissy shots because because I'm like, listen, y'all be doing a little turn up and a little extra. I'm a little bit
Mhm.
above over that age. And but the sense of community, the togetherness and how they was bringing each other up and laughing, and it was conversation over here and conversation over there, and I mean it was powerful. And the thing is like I told Carlton Pearson before he transitioned that I was like, this is the community of communities, right?
Mhm.
This is bringing people together, and then each individual pastor. Coach LaDonna Cox has a community in Phoenix,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Miss
Mhm.
Dorothy's developing her community online, but we're going to keep on growing so that she can really handle that East Coast.
That's
Because
right.
when Dr. Gigi, she's floating, she where she is.
Floating. I got somewhere for you.
So I've got an online community as well, Jesus and Justice.
Yes, you got,
Nice.
and you got online. One of the things though that I'm understanding though is we need online communities, but we do need in-person community. We do need to have, there's too many people that are suffering around us also, and they might need that hug, or they might need that ear, or they might need, a sense of togetherness, right?
Mhm.
That also that I'm thinking that really needs to be understood and developed, but ultimately people won't leave or not leaving, right? Simply because it's painful, right?
Very painful.
Yep.
Still
Very.
dealing with crazy relationships And then whether it's narcissist, how long did Puffy get away with that?
Look here, 20 years plus. Yeah.
He got away with it for a long time. And a lot of it has to do with his power. And a lot of it has to do with that dude has a significant amount of go-get 'em energy that I listen. You know, he came up with a lot of music that I'm like, I was banging, you know, that
man. Listen. I'm telling you, it's a lot of stuff you got to separate the man from the music, because
there's a power and energy there, right?
Yeah.
October, I plan on doing some things on music and us creating like we gotta create a whole new. They've had 200 years, you know, and in the Black church, we didn't had 100 years to create songs. Right, changing instruments and doing all that. Now we have to actually restructure and start rethinking about how the music we listen to and the music that we're creating. Right, the guy that I'm friends with, Brian Alexander Morgan, who is the creator. He's the producer behind all of SWV's content, and he's got some new stuff that he's creating that has a little bit of a church sound, but yet though it's I'm like, man, wait a minute, this is some affirmation music here. This is something that's going to help us build. Remember, Dr. Gigi, you mentioned music, right?
Yes.
So as we talking about all this, guys, one of the things we need to move into is modality, right? Yes. And what I mean by modality is cool to talk about this, but I'll break it down and go all the way back to asking Dr. Dorothy if you got your water, right? Y'all drinking y'all's water? You know what I mean? You drinking your water. Are you meditating? What music are you taking in, right? You know, are you actually physically doing some level of going within? You know, I'll be labeling everything in my
right. Don't eat after 8 o'clock, remember?
Right. Oh,
vitamin D, get that sun.
Like, you eating after 8, bro, you're gonna be up dreaming and be like, man, I don't know what's going on with my stomach.
Oh my goodness.
But any of the things is looking at the modalities and things that we're doing, because even us, as we're sitting here on this panel, we still have our things we deal with. We still have things where we can get stuck with. We still have things that we still to this day go through.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, it's super duper powerful when you have a community. And this is the way I look at expanded conscious community. I was talking to Miss Dorothy today is I love like Brother Christian in Atlanta and what he's got going on. I love what Mr. Donna's got going on, especially you guys that's got these physical locations.
Yes.
It's not a replace. Well, yeah, we can consider it's almost a replacement for the people that are going out and they're trying to go and they're trying to do, and they need somewhere to actually go. And for me personally, it can have some churchness to it. Right. It can have whatever you want, but I think we're edging away from it. It's like, well, what kind of church is this? I mean, because it's like everything's the same besides they have a little bit of a difference in sound, but yet though everything, I'm saying, am I in church or am I not? To each his own in where they have to identify. But ultimately, going back to what you said, Dr. Gigi, is that it's a matter of your personal health, what you're experiencing when it comes to looking at the fact that my relationships that I have with the people around me, my relationship with my spouse, I'm here to tell you, you may not think it, you're going to go through some things. And I know you need to cry some things out, but in the metaphysical space, the universe is listening. And if you don't find a place to look and say, okay, I'm going through this, but I need to find a place where I have to shift, because if I don't shift, it was recently that I found out YouTube executive, the CEO of YouTube, it was a female. She was amazing. her son died. And
Mm.
within, I don't know what the time frame was, but she died, and she wasn't that old.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe about 2 months ago, she died
Mm-hmm.
after her son died.
Mm-hmm.
Grief.
You could
Yeah.
go through that grief process, but
Yeah.
how deep do we want to go into that grief process? The universe is listening. How deep do we want to allow ourselves to go through that, especially with our help?
Yeah.
And knowing that,
Yeah.
you know what? No, there comes a time that now I need to, okay, everything is as it should be. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is. Now I need to,
Mm-hmm.
universe is listening. I need to figure out what I'm going to be doing to raise this vibration. What am I going to be? Where's my community?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. You know, brother, if I could just add to that, you know, so much of our society is based in a binary, right? Extremes. It's all one or all another.
Yes.
And when it comes to emotional response to things, I find that, especially because I'm in the field of healing work, right? So people tend to, and this tends to be really encouraged and condoned by the church. Either we block off emotion completely, which means
Mhm.
it gets stuck in the body and it shows up in other ways, such as
Mhm.
physical health,
Mhm.
physical disease, right? So we just block it off and we deny it, right? And the church fuels that a lot of the times. Or at the polar opposite, we drown in it and we get stuck in it and we just drown in all of the emotion, right? And I think what oftentimes we miss is that a key part of the healing process is actually letting yourself feel it and learning how to move through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're not blocking it off and you're not drowning in it.
Mm-hmm.
You let yourself feel it and you learn the skills to move through it. So your body doesn't get stuck. Certain emotions are stored in particular organs in the body.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes when we have particular organs that are diseased, sometimes they can be an indicator of where we're stuck
Right.
emotionally
Mm-hmm.
because they get held in a particular organ.
Uh-oh.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting into that kind of that chakra woo stuff too, right? You know that's
Not the woo woo, right?
The woo-woo.
it's like they start telling you things that are demonic that's gonna help your ass. I'm sorry.
I need to add something to Dr. Gigi, what she said, because I think it's really important for church people to understand how they have been programmed to deal with healing, how they have been programmed to deal with change. And in psychology, they call it spiritual bypass.
Yes.
So what happens with spiritual bypass is that in the church, we have taken all of our problems to Jesus or to the pastor, right? And because we have been taught that we are supposed to be in the world, but not of the world, we don't use the wisdom that we need when we to go out and seek professional help. So we're comfortable with the pastor praying for us and telling us to go home and trust God, right? So we get caught up in that rhythm. And for generations, especially Black people, we got to remember that everything about our community was church, especially coming out of slavery. That's how we survived.
Yeah.
The church, like I was saying earlier, the church was there when we needed food. The church was there when our marriages was breaking up. The church was there when our children was acting up. And so we got addicted to going to the church for healing. And the church is not a healing place. Because remember, they're going to tell you that if you don't get yourself saved and if you don't change your ways, right? All of the stuff that you're going through, you're going to keep going through because you're being punished because you don't got no faith. So you have a lot of people in the church who are literally dying in the pews because they won't go out and seek professional help.
And coming home from church unaliving themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I know a pastor who I was very, very close to, built churches all over the world, all over the country, had a big organization. And you know what he did? He took his life.
Yeah.
Now, the church, this is a man who has been preaching the gospel, preaching salvation, preaching healing, telling people to have faith, telling people to trust God. And he goes home and he takes a rifle and shoots his head off. This is not exclusive to the one person I know, but this is happening all over the world. Where the church is not capable of handling the type of intense pressure that it's under because of the magnitude of the issues that the people in there are having. It can't handle it. So somewhere along the line, my encouragement to people, if you go into church, I always say, I don't care about you going to church. That's not the issue. Make sure you're healed. You take advantage of professional healing processes, get counseling. Don't sit in church and let somebody tell you to have faith and trust God and you getting your head beat in. So if we don't wake up, because to me, there is an addiction to how we do church and how we have gotten so accustomed to letting the church answer all of our questions. But this spiritual bypass that we're using, not to deal with our shadows, Pastor LaDonna, not to deal with the problems that we're having, not to deal with being able to have, Dr. Gigi, good relationships, sound, balanced, setting boundaries. Well, you can't do that if you're using spiritual bypass as an excuse not to get the help that you need.
Yeah,
So
come on.
we have to learn to get some help. Get help. If somebody, I'm telling, this thing burns me. It burns in my soul to see people still coddling their feelings, like Malachi said, still coddling these victim mentalities because they're doing it all under the auspices, I'm trusting God. God is a victim of our craziness.
It's the truth. Yeah. Well,
Well, if I was God, I would be like, y'all done drove me crazy. Right? I don't have no more dealings with none of you. On your own. Everybody's on their own.
I wanted to piggyback too off of Dr. Dorothy in saying that, it's really difficult, I think, for people to take personal responsibility and gain any emotional maturity when the very foundation and the basis of your belief is about shifting responsibility to an outside entity.
Say it, girl. Yes.
So you have people, right? And I hear it all the time. Pastors are frustrated. My prayer line is always long. It's the same people. If you come in this Sunday, at least come with a different issue. Everybody got the same thing. Same issue every Sunday.
All right, Pastor.
Y'all know I know the script, right?
Only a pastor can tell you that because they know.
I'm telling you.
But how can you remain frustrated with individuals who are emotionally immature and don't have any development as it relates to taking responsibility for their lives and what they can do with it when you don't teach people who they truly are?
Come on now.
Because it benefits you that they stay in the dark.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
So you're gonna have these cyclical patterns, this mainstay of individuals who are experiencing, watch this, we know psychology, this learned helplessness.
Come on.
Come on.
You gotta say that, Pastor.
Because they've never been taught the power that they possess as godlike beings.
Girl,
The
I feel like
Bible
I'm in church.
itself
I
is
feel
a
like I'm in church right now.
metaphysical instruction.
Yeah.
Jesus, I like to say in my mind, Jesus meditated. All of the
Yes, he
things in the
did.
Bible, if you look at them with awareness and personal responsibility, Jesus is saying that you are supposed to be greater than I am. You're
Yes.
supposed to glow just like me. You're
Preach,
supposed
girl.
to become, with this information I'm giving you, an illuminated being. You yourself are supposed to become a Christ.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Not just worship something outside of you.
Yes.
And so the
Yes.
more we keep these things or keep the message cycled in the church that everything is outside of you, people are never going to take on a full responsibility. When people come to the conscious center, I say, it's not about you following me as I follow Christ. You come in here and learn how to lead yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the foundation of what we've been taught is the very basis of it is it's always somebody else's fault. The devil made me do it.
Yeah,
If
made
my life
do
is going good, that's God. If my life is going bad, that's the devil. And I really feel like, one of the things that pushed me into my journey of consciousness was this innate desire that I started to crave. Like, don't I have a responsibility in this thing?
Yes.
I was like, isn't it something that I can do
Yeah.
in this physical life that can add to who I am and add to what I experience and influence my life in a more positive fashion? Why is it that I've been told to give everything away to something else outside of me? You got to teach people who they truly are. And unless people can benefit from that, they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why the revolution will not be televised.
It will
you
not
must
be.
read, you must learn, you must research.
Yes.
Say that.
They're not going to give you the answers.
Yes, absolutely.
But you yourself are the answer.
But what we're doing is we're developing these spaces, because between just this room here, how much education and how much stuff we already been through, not only just going through the church systems, but also going through educational systems, right? From coaching to actually doing doctoral degrees, so that we can have some. When you just even think about most of the church leaders, they don't really have much understanding or knowledge, and the knowledge that they do have, I mean, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Do you know how many pastors and how many pastors that are actually counseling right now, actually calling themselves therapists?
It's dangerous.
It's so dangerous.
They actually, you know how many pastoral groups that are out there right now? I mean, or ministerial groups or marriage. Oh, I'm pastor such and such, and this is such and such, and we here to do our marriage counseling. You know what I mean? And both of y'all niggas is miserable.
Let me say it for you. Let me say.
Miserable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Miserable.
Living in married at church and living in separate houses.
Right. Looking at porn.
But you know why pastors got that power, right? You know why they don't need no special training, right? You know why they don't have to be licensed, right?
They're under the auspices
of the Holy
why
Spirit. They don't need no psychology degrees.
I don't know. I don't know. You got to tell me.
You know. Okay, y'all. I got an emergency real quick. I'm my father's caretaker, and the nursing home is called. I'll be right back.
All right.
Right back.
Okay.
I know what she's about to say.
Under what? Under the auspices of the Holy Spirit?
No, she's going to talk about the system. She's talking about religion See, what we was just talking about a nonprofit today, and I'm talking about how am I going to organize this thing, because I still have this for-profit side, but I want to make this thing where I know that people are developing their own things, but we need somewhat of a hub that allows us to get some content and allows us to get some research and allows us, like, we, have this hub that allows for people to be under this, not just expanded conscious umbrella, but being able to say, we're not just talking out of the side of our neck. That's for you,
Right.
Ron Hudson. He old, so he be talking like old people. We just talk about you talking out the side of your neck.
Right. Yeah.
But we actually know what we're talking about and have resources, because when people actually need help, we ain't gonna fill them with a bill of good, just a line of bull and be like, what you thus said the Lord said, and how we gonna get you together. And then we need to talk about how the man, what is the man being the
head of the house,
head of the household, but also, and he turns to God, and you turn to him as he turns to God. To this day, do you know that they're really believing that people don't really have the ability to make their own decision in terms of voting? They don't think that people are conscious enough to do certain things because they're not submission. She was about to talk about the sacred canopy, right? And the sacred canopy is the system, right? And so the system, here she is, she's back.
I's back. Everything's all right.
Good.
All right.
And what was you about to say? I don't know. Like, you got to let me know. You was about to tell us.
Oh, I was about to tell you why these pastors don't need training, don't need
licensing.
They don't need training. They don't need professional training. They don't need to go to school. They don't need anybody to come in and tell them how they're supposed to perform as pastors when it comes to counseling. They don't need any of that. You know why? Because they're called by God. They're called by God.
That's what I was thinking that she was saying.
They are sacred. They are above society. They're above the psychologists, right? No, we don't.
Who gives them that power?
God does.
But in our society, because what they're doing is technically illegal.
Yes, it is illegal, but society has ordained the church to be and give that to have that authority.
But
do you know that? Do you know that psychologists and all of these professional services literally work with the church and empower them in the places that they're in? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so the church has a lot of power. This is why I'm telling y'all, we have got to dismantle these sacred things, because the only way we're going to heal, the people in the church are going to heal, is if we feel empowered to deconstruct this stuff and then reconstruct so that we can move on further. Let me just one scripture I wanted to add to LaDonna, because we got a lot of church people in here. And I think it's really apropos to say this, because she talked about how we are not growing and how we're dependent on the church, and we don't have that separate, a single identity, autonomy. We don't know how to take control of our lives because we've been told the whole time in church to let the Spirit lead us. So we've been asking the church to be possessed by another spirit, right? Doesn't matter that it's supposed to be a good spirit or a God spirit. We have been asked to be possessed, to be impregnated, to be infiltrated, and to be controlled by. So that takes away your autonomy. That takes away your power to make the changes that you need in your life. So listen to this scripture. And y'all tell me how y'all think it fits, why the church isn't doing so well. Hebrews 6:1-4. Therefore, right, leaving the discussion of the elementary principles of Christ, right? Let us go on to perfection.
All right.
Right? Not laying again
Uh-huh.
the foundation of repenting for all them sins you keep committing and going back. You know how they used to say, sinning and repenting, right? Repentance from dead works and of, listen to this one. Y'all know I used to be a preacher. I feel my help coming, right?
Preach, Doc.
Repentance from dead works and of faith toward God. Why do we keep telling people to have faith in God? And the scripture says to move past it. Right? Verse 2 of the doctrines of baptism, of laying on of hands, of resurrection of the dead, and of eternal judgment. Why did Paul, as crazy as he was, make that known to people? Because what he was trying to get people to see is these rituals and doctrines and practices that you are stuck in. If you don't grow up and mature and move past all of that stuff and try to strive for perfection, that means take some damn responsibility for your life. And then the next verse says, this we will do if God permits. Now, why is it God permitting? Because who's God? The church. I'm done. I'm done. I can go on. I'm done.
The government gives the church that power.
Say that. That's right. Yes, it does.
The government
put on a collar, right? Put on a collar. Put on your ministry garb and your Bible, right? You can go anywhere, into the hospitals after hours, right? You can go anywhere. You can go into the White House. You can go into the Capitol, because society owns the church and owns everything about it. You can't even be considered a ordained minister and go and pray for the Congress, right? Unless you got some schooling behind you.
Or what is that? Or the bylaws and the whatever and all this thing. And my thing is like, is it, or do we need to? Is it at the point where in order for us to really effectively do this, we talked about this today, how do communities be able to truly approach and so people understand? Because there is a lot of even when you have your the storefront churches, right? The storefront churches where people anybody and everybody is throwing something together because somebody then had something, right? Blow up big. You got a mega church.
Well, 3 storefront churches on the same block now.
Yeah.
Right.
That.
Where we go from here in just becoming more unified and actually being able to truly be effective, right? And I'm saying this to you 3 and anyone that's listening, because even though you might be a lay person, or even though, person that's listening and wanting to grow, just understand that, just like I told Christian today, a year from now, each year, this is going to be changing drastically.
Yes.
You know what? It sounds crazy. Even though Donald Trump has got a lot of people, he also is losing a lot of people, because they're like, okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. He is actually, getting Bibles and turning them upside. This ain't a Bible. This is a devil book. But he is doing different things to actually pull people in, and people are starting to notice it. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to start asking questions. And people are beginning to ask questions of what I've been doing and what do I truly believe?
That's right.
Right. Yeah. And why do I believe that?
Right.
Is it because of mama?
Right.
Is it because of society? And there's a lot of people that are literally running and getting away. But as you said, Dr. Gigi, where are you going to run to? Because they're going to either end up going back in there, right? Because somebody's going to guilt you real bad. Tell you,
there you go.
until
Yep.
until you
Yep.
come back,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And I want people to know 100%. As you talked about, Dr. Dorothy, is going to go people understanding as you going through this deconstructing process, or as you going through trying to figure out certain aspects of your life, as you dealing with relationships, seek out some professional, licensed,
Mhm.
Yes.
or trusted
Yes.
help. And it, to me, I think it's so much better. Knock me if I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, I think it's so much better if somebody is sitting under the guise of saying, "Oh, I'm a Christian counselor," or "I'm a Christian based." I'm not saying they won't be good, but for some reason, that shouldn't even matter.
Right.
I can handle you on that situation. I can talk to you about that, but we're talking about something here that
Mhm.
could be serious, and I'm more focused on praying for you and making sure you go back into something that you don't need to be,
Right. Right.
versus
Yeah.
actually truly being there. And there's so many people, it's so easy to fall under that umbrella, and then once you fall in that umbrella, oh, I'm doing this, I'm a Christian counselor, or we're a marriage counseling couple. Y'all ain't
John.
doing, man, y'all making matters worse. All right, guys. There's something special too that they have on this software. You can end it and then you can restart, but I'm gonna end it live, right? And I think I might be restarting just a little bit of piece so we can have some stuff, just a little bit, just be us behind the scenes, right? I think it'd be cool, right?
I love the behind the scenes
Last
talk.
words, round
Sweet
table.
draw.
Start with you, Miss LaDonna.
This was
Last word.
beautiful. What an honor it is to be here tonight. Just meeting your acquaintance, Dr. Gigi. What a privilege it is. And uplifting and encouraging to know that you are out there doing the work that you're doing. Thank
Yes.
you. I
Yes.
honor the light in you. I
Yes.
honor the place in you where the entire universe resides.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing your light tonight.
Yeah.
I'm better because of it.
Wow. Thank you,
Yes.
sister.
Yes. That's beautiful.
Dr.
Yes.
Dorothy.
Can I just steal LaDonna's words
No.
and just
Have fun, sister. Come on.
I am always honored to be on this panel, to do anything with my coach friend Malachi.
Yes.
Let me tell y'all something. I don't know about y'all out there in that community,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to really, really, really appreciate
Yes.
Malachi just a
Yep.
little bit more than what we do. Not to mention my sister,
He's a connector of all connectors.
girl.
For real.
He is a
Say
connector. He's
Ooh,
a
I love you
bad
so
mama
much.
jamma.
Bad mama jamma. So Dr. Gigi, let me tell you, I love your energy. I love your transparency, your authenticity, and all of the things that Pastor LaDonna said. But most of all, I love you just showing up as you. That's very powerful. So I am so glad to be connected to you and to your
Yes.
energy and to
Yes.
to your space, and just to be able to impact you with the energy that we have on this panel. So yes, and I hope that we can connect, make some
Yes.
stuff happen, do some
Mhm.
things. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
just love y'all. Y'all just
No, this is
Same.
good stuff.
Same.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of relationships,
Right?
you know,
Yeah.
like this is a prime example of how good it feels to come into your tribe like people.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This
Yes,
helps
ma'am.
our sanity, man.
You better
This
believe.
helps us on this journey of awareness and
Yes.
consciousness, Christ consciousness.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
this is important. So you
Mhm.
stuck with me. I don't know. I'm looking you up. I need all your handles.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dr. G,
likewise.
We gonna get them in the after show.
yeah, Dr. DJ, real quick.
The after party, after party.
Yes.
You know what you all are reminding me of is just that the more conscious we get and the more grounded we get, the brighter our lights shine. And sometimes darkness wants to swallow that up. And so coming into
Mhm.
spaces like this, it's like oil back in the lamp. Come on, somebody.
Mm.
Yes. Come on. All
Come
right,
on.
preacher.
Y'all are filling my lamp with oil because it's been running low. So just
Oh,
thank you
love you.
thank you
Yep.
for the deposits that you all have made to the audience and to me. Dear, I cannot express my gratitude enough, and what an honor it is to share space with you and learn from you and learn with you. So to each of you and to all of those who are listening, I just want to say you are loved, you are precious, you are irreplaceable.
Come on.
Come on, yes.
You are irreplaceable. You, in all of your fullness, are made in the image of Creator.
Yeah.
Mm.
Beautiful.
That's good stuff.
Yes. I'm gonna feed off this for at least a couple weeks.
Man, I'm gonna be floating off of this call. I might not touch the ground next month.
Yeah, this was everything. Yeah. I feel like we created something tonight that's going to rivet throughout the cosmos. I really do.
Yes, I agree.
That's a word.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Sometimes it's to sit in that moment as you guys talk about that. And one of the things that affects consciousness, and the reason why you have ills and evils in the world, is because the collectiveness of that consciousness. So therefore, when you have multiple people feeling some kind of way, it does perpetuate and push that person that's going to go out there and do that mass shooting. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
As we shift,
Mm-hmm.
and I want everyone to understand, like, don't be afraid to look up and find you some meditations, find you a space in your house,
Right. Yes.
and still raise the vibration and have some level of positive openness, thankfulness, gratitude.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, expanded conscious family, I appreciate everyone that tapped in, tuned in, and watched us this evening. We'll definitely do it again. And you guys make sure that you keep tapping in, tuning in. I'll do everything I can to make sure that we have this Thursday service, if you will.
Yes. Community.
Community service.
Yeah.
And you guys stick with me. And as I close this out, see y'all guys later out there live. Love y'all.
We love y'all.
Bye-bye, everybody. Love you.
Good night.